Yes! We're fucking won. We're fucking won away from home. Would you believe it? Would you believe it? Right, so today is Thursday, the 4th of November. It's just after the Ferencvaros and Celtic away game. And this was a game that we needed to win. And would you believe it? We'll fucking win. Celtic 3, Ferencvaros 2. And by the way, I'm going to call it out right now. I actually called the result. Uh, I called it 3-2. 3-2 to Celtic. McGinty called it 3-0 to Celtic. Rather overambitious. Dazza called it 2-0 to Celtic, and Paddy actually called it 3-1 to Celtic. However, yeah, you have it here.
Somebody's got to
3-2.
be right every so often. It was a good game of football though. The two goals I think we needlessly conceded 2 goals. A bit harsh on it, so I'll allow it. But I was close to my 3-0.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Right, okay. For the guys who never knew the lineup beforehand, I'll give you a very, very brief reminder. Heart and goals, of course. We've got Ralston and Josip Juranovic at the right back position. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Welsh at the back. And we've got Turnbull, Beaton, McGregor in the midfield. And up front, we've got Jota, Kyogo and Abada. By the way, McGinty, Abada, I thought he might have been one of the weak links, but Abada, from the very, very start, he looked hungry. He looked healthy. What did you think of him and his performance in the game?
I think he grew into the game as it went on, along with David Turnbull. But that front line, all three of them, absolutely superb until they obviously went off. I thought Abada showed exactly what he can do that we saw at the start of the season. He's direct, he's energetic, he can drive forward with the ball, and he's got a great shot on him. I was very impressed with Leo Abada tonight.
Well, I know that you said that he grew into the game, but he must have been a quick grower because we scored a goal in 3 minutes and it was fucking Kyogo! Okay, so Abada, he taken advantage of a bit of a slack defending from the Hungarian mob, and he drove into their defence. He drove in on the right hand side of it, and then he checked. He played it into Kyogo, and he checked again. It was like a double check, man. And Kyogo double checked into the left hand side, and he played in a wee left foot shot, and that was like in 3 minutes. We would never expect that. It was such a very, very quick counter attacking move from us, and Kyogo scored. And by the way, Kyogo's got a new haircut, or a new hairdo. What do you think of that, Paul?
Well,
Do you think it fooled the Ferencvaros mob?
it's not a hairdo or hair colour that I would go for, but it's no stopped him scoring the goals, so who are we to judge? But no, that opening goal, Gavin, was absolutely fantastic. In fact, all 3 goals were superb goals, which is what we kind of grown to accept and expect from these front 3. It's a brilliant work goal, as you said. He nips in, he steals the ball from a slack kind of moment from the Hungarians' defence. And he lays it off to, I think he actually takes a small deflection, does it, when he lays it off to Kyogo, who then does the kind of double check, as you say, turns it around onto his left foot, and what a goal. He set one up, he scored one. I'm absolutely thrilled for the kid. He's a superb player, so he's an absolute superb player.
I think I might have saw a stat earlier on, like he might not have scored a goal in 7. I could be wrong in that. I saw it. It could be a mirage.
You might actually be right, because there was a lot of Celtic fans had started kind of going off him, and I think he was overdue a break. You got to remember, he was 19 when he joined us, just turned 20. He's still young and developing. He needs a lot of education and coaching. You might be right. He might have only might not have scored in the last 7 games, but I think he's actually got 7 goals for the season so far, and we're barely a third into the season. For a winger, if he scores, 14 to 21 goals, which is what he's probably on course for, what more can you ask for? Especially when Kyogo's battering them in as well.
During all the episodes that we've had for the Jungle Gyms, I've been talking about his performances, and I've kind of tried to acknowledge the fact that he's so young and he scored a lot of goals, but I've wanted to kind of impart my own feelings is that I want to see him to kind of show more involvement in the games, and I think he did that during the first half. He showed a lot of appetite and he really fucking gobbled up during the first half. Pardon that fucking. Pardon,
he definitely.
Pardon the choice of words, but 3 minutes in, Abada made that goal. If Abada never had that hunger, then we would not have scored that goal. His appetite actually made that goal. He checked in, he showed it to Kyogo, and Kyogo did what he did. He had the movement, he checked in on his left, and he scored the goal. 1-0 to Celtic. However, McGinty, one of the things that we've actually witnessed in our European development is that sometimes whenever we score a goal, we let in a goal. Like Jablonec, that happened to us. And like after we scored in the 3rd minute, in the 11th minute, we conceded the goal. So Ferencvaros, the right winger, he has a shot off Josip Juranovic, who's filling in at left back for us, which he's done on a number of occasions so far. It takes an unfortunate deflection off Josip Juranovic, and it loops over Joe Hart, and it goes in. For me, in my opinion, that was something that you can't really defend against. You can't legislate against. It was an unlucky deflection. What was your opinion on that? And by the way, it was just it just felt like that's like typical Celtic away from home. Even though you're playing really, really well, things go against you. It's like fucking Murphy's Law.
That's typical Celtic, isn't it? As you say, we're kind of getting used to it. But the front three are sublime and kind of make it a little bit easier to accept. The goal, initially I was quite quick to criticise Juranovic, and the initial build-up before that kind of cross/shot came in, I felt like he stood off his player a little bit too much as the Ferencvaros player was receiving the ball. On second looks, especially when there's an angle of a replay from behind the Ferencvaros goal looking over to it, he's actually not that far away. So you can't blame Juranovic at all. It's a wicked deflection that comes off him. He does the best he can. If there's any blame, and I'm being really nitpicky here, it's on Abada for losing the ball earlier on in the build-up. He's the one with a bit of a slack pass that's capitalised on, kind of like what happened in our first goal. Yeah, it's been harsh, but it is where it kind of... There's always a fault for a goal.
It's a fair shot. It's a fair shot because like Abada has got it. He's like obviously he's like a right forward, but he's slotted in our own half. And we're trying to play out, like some people will fucking leather it up the pitch, but he tries to play a kind of loop ball to Turnbull in the centre of midfield. But it goes a wee bit beyond Turnbull. And at that point, Ferencvaros have got the opportunity to kind of regain possession, play it into the right-hand side, and that's how the goal comes in. So maybe if the game plan was, if you've got it in your own half and we're defending, get it to fuck. If that was the game plan, then maybe we wouldn't have conceded that goal.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about the style of play that we're trying to do. We're trying to play the ball with the feet. Obviously, that's a bit of a lofty ball over. We're trying to keep control of the game. We're trying to keep possession, and we want to be a bit silky with it. However, as you say, if in that moment his only option was to try and get over the player, if he just puts a foot right through it, it goes 40 yards into their half, and there's no issue. But as we keep saying, he is young. That's a lesson learned from him. In that situation, there's a bit of pressure from two sides of him. Just get the ball out of his area. He's not able to pass it on the deck, just clear his area. But he'll learn from that. And on today's showing, we get the win. It's something that he's allowed to do.
Totally. And before we go any further, I know that Paddy did predict Celtic would win 3-1. Because we've won 3-2, do you think that shows Paddy's lack of knowledge in football and in general?
Oh, 100%. We should probably reassess his ability to be on our lovely podcast. No, it's...
Guy's a fucking imposter.
It's something that Celtic needs to learn more than Paddy, to be fair.
I'm only joking, Paddy. Right, okay, let's move on. Okay, 23rd minute, and by the way, the goals for Celtic were fucking exceptional. 23rd minute, and again, it was Jota. Jota drives in for the left wing. It was on a counter attack for Celtic. And by the way, whenever he drives in for the left wing, we're so used to him actually hitting the fucking crossbar. But at this point, he is more kind of central to the left, and he hits a dig. And he caught the keeper unawares, but it does hit a defender. It takes a slight deflection off the defender, and it goes for the left-hand post, and it goes for the post, and it was very, very close. The keeper was like a kind of fingertip away, but it goes in. I could not give a shit about the deflection, but it was aesthetically a beautiful, beautiful goal for Jota. And Jota, by the way, with that hairdo, he does look like a beautiful specimen.
We need to spend the money on him already, Gavin. With a guy with a name like Jota, with hair like that, with the footwork that he's got and the goals that he's bringing to this side, we'd be absolutely mugs. I think the value is $6.5 million. We'd be mugs not to spend that money on. We should.
Do you have the faith?
Absolutely have the faith, and more so. I don't know what that pun is, and we have it.
Yes.
No, his goal was well took. It's a nice little. It almost looks like a dummy from Turnbull to allow it to go on, but I think he actually takes a little touch just to play it right into his stride. He comes in from the side. He's got lovely footwork. He gets that shot off. Number 2 of 3 goals, that all 3 were absolutely fantastic. And I'm so glad that all 3 of them got their goals. It was another great team goal. I think all 3 of them were actually quite good team goals.
Totally, mate. I'm 100% behind you. Right, okay, so we're going at half-time, and we are 2-1 up. I think for many Celtic fans, whenever we are actually going into half-time, winning, we're thinking, are we jinxing it? We can't get too happy right now. Surely we're going to expect some sort of kind of reciprocity in the second half. But as we know, we win 3-2. So we came out on top, but at half time, what was your overall feelings? Were you happy? Were we carrying any passengers at that point, or were everybody pulling their weight?
I think we had mentioned in the group chat at that time that well, I did anyway. I felt that Neil Beaton and David Turnbull were the kind of 2 passengers. As such, Turnbull, though, especially going into the second half, he definitely grew into that game. He became such a better player for us. You'll see it with the was it the third goal? Yeah, the third goal. You'll see his defensive play to collect the ball, lays it off to McGregor, who then lays it forward again. It eventually gets to, I think, to Kyogo and onto Abada for his goal. All great work from David Turnbull. He's doing some good defensive work in the second half. He's able to turn on the ball quite well. He's making some good passes. I felt he kind of built into it. But yeah, at half-time, for me, David Turnbull was the passenger of the side, and questionably Neil Beaton about what he was actually able to offer.
I want to give a shout out to Stephen Welsh. What is it? 19, 20, 21, 22? I do not know exactly. Run about that age bracket anyway. Young for a defender. What have we got from Kenny? What have we got from Kenny? We'll have to admit, I was worried about Beaton, but thought he played well tonight. Shows I know nothing about football. Well, Kenny, it takes a lot of character to show humbleness, and that's what you've done tonight. And I think we all need to kind of acknowledge Beaton's performance tonight. I thought that Beaton at times looked like the Israeli version of Sergio Busquets.
Don't say it. Oh, he said it.
Oh! It's gone. Yeah, by the way, before we go to Beaton, I want to talk about we're at halftime at this point. I want to talk about Stephen Welsh. Stephen Welsh, whenever he gets the ball, I do not get nervous, and that's a great fucking thing. I do not get nervous when Stephen Welsh gets the ball. He doesn't look as if he gets nervous, and that makes me calm like a Hindu cow.
It's going to be on your tombstone, that thing, that phrase.
Hopefully not too soon.
Phrase.
Hopefully not. With Stephen Welsh at the back, I'm not going to have a tombstone very, very soon. Put it that way. Stephen Welsh, here, what did you think of him at the back?
I thought he done very well. Early on, he had a couple of moments to kind of build his confidence as such. but then he took that yellow card quite early on as well, which I worried was going to kind of make him go into his shell a little bit, but he never did. He kind of was the same old Stephen Welsh that we kind of got used to. He was solid. He was confident in his play. He was asking for the ball off Carter Vickers at times. I think the yellow card was, on the face of it, harsh, but I can see why it's been given. The arm does go behind. There's a slap on the face. You can't argue against it, but
That's a good point.
The Ferencvaros player does make a meal out of it. So it's
That's a very
definitely
good
a yellow
point.
card. But he never went into his shell. He continued to be the Stephen Welsh that we've all kind of grown to know.
Because that happened in the first half. It happened very, very early on. And I was worried about that. I was worried about, will that make him play on eggshells? But I think for the rest of the game, he conducted himself very, very well.
Yeah.
And do you think it's kind of reminiscent? I don't want to be a cliche, but do you think it's kind of reminiscent? Remember when like Kennedy? I know that Kennedy, John Kennedy, whenever he was like flung into the throw and he had to play against like Barcelona, that sort of thing, and like David Marshall when he was like flung into the limelight, and he had to play against Barcelona. But when you watch them conduct themselves in the heat of the moment, we watched Welsh conduct himself in last season, and he never put a foot wrong. And he's played a lot of the times this season as well until Starfield came in. I think for Stephen Welsh, he's done himself proud. I couldn't really fault him. I know maybe one or two times, maybe he could have done better, but for his education at that age of the game, I think if I was him, I'd be proud of him.
100%, yeah. It's the same way Abada. We're talking about the first goal. If you're going to blame at anybody, it's Abada, but it's not the worst thing that he's done. It wasn't a calamitous error. It was just a misjudge of the pass and the player's position. It's things you expect from 19, 20, 21-year-olds who are learning the trade. They're still learning the game. And Stephen Welsh, as you said, he's young and he's played a lot of games last season and he played a lot of games at the start of this season. But has he done anything really wrong? No.
Totally.
He's not really. But the wee things that he has done wrong, he's learning from it all the time, and he's confident in himself to go back out there and just keep playing his game. He knows what he's doing. There's no fear when I see Stephen Welsh on that side.
There would have been a massive shout from a lot of the Celtic support to start Forrest on the right-hand wing tonight. But we started Abada, and Abada started off like fucking shit on fire, man. And he made the first goal. He made the first goal, and we scored the first goal within 3 minutes. He made the first goal for Kyogo. And I know what you just said there. He was a wee bit lackadaisical, and if he wasn't so nonchalant with his kind of lobbing pass to Turnbull, we may not have conceded that goal on the 11th minute. However, Jota scores a goal on the 23rd minute. We're going to half time. We're 2-0 up. We're loving it at that
2-1.
point. Yeah, 2-1 up, pardon me, 2-1 up. And we're going to the second half. So let's move on to that part. We are expecting the worst. Out of experience, we're expecting the worst. And we're playing away from home. There's no Tims in the ground. We're in the Groupama Arena. 22,000 Hungary fucking Budapest fans. But the next goal, lo and behold, comes from Celtic. It's on the 59th minute and it's Abada. Kyogo plays in Abada on the right-hand wing, and Abada plays in a very, very acute shot. And as all strikers do, as you're taught from a young man, play it across the goal, play it across the keeper. And he scores. The keeper doesn't make a fist of it. It was a tight finish, and it goes in. And at that point, we're 3-1 up. What were you thinking at that point, McGinty?
Oh, elated. Made up for Abad at the time for getting his goal. Made up for all three. You called it on the scoreline. I'm going to call it on the my desire to see all three score. In the build up that we were doing it pre-game. I thought that lineup with those three was going to be exactly what we saw today. We're going to see good counter-attacking football. We're going to see good driving forward from all three of them, which we saw every time that we had the ball and we're going for attacks. And it pays off every time you see our three attackers go in unison, almost going forward. If Abada puts that shot in, if that doesn't go in the back of the net, it's either going out for a corner or the keeper's about to parry it into the middle of the park where you're expecting Jota and Kyogo to follow up. And we've seen that 3 or 4 times already this season. And that's what these three offer. They run forward with great drive and determination and a great amount of pace to go in with it. It's a brilliant to watch.
Very, very good call. Good call. Because Abada, what is it? 20 years old. 20 years old. Whenever he puts in that shot, like he turned 20 at the Aberdeen game, didn't he? Aye. But whenever he puts in that shot, he puts it in the right technique. And if he doesn't score the goal, at that point, if the keeper does parry it out, Kyogo is probably going to put it in. But at that point, okay, we're on the 70th minute. We make 3 changes. Kyogo, Jota, and I think Abada comes off at that point.
Yeah, all 3 in the front.
I want to ask you, at that point, it was a kind of monumental. At that point, we're 3-1 up. It doesn't happen very often. But at that point, who were you most impressed with? Abada. I've got my own opinions. I'll let you know at that point. But who were you most impressed with? Jota, Kyogo, or Abada? Because we take them all off. I think they all deserved a wee bit of a substitution. But who were you most impressed with at that point?
On the whole, I'm impressed with all 3 of them, but Jota more than the other 2. There's a few times, and one specifically where Jota comes back into defence. He's defended down the left side, and his touch in a defensive position was unreal. Where he ends up I think he takes it on the outside of his right foot, and he basically flicks it over his own head to then control the ball while he's being pressured in the Celtic third sort of thing. It was a great bit of footwork and confidence in his own ability. And you see that often with Jota, who's very comfortable with the ball. He's got the fancy footwork. He's just a player that Celtic fans have been screaming out for years to get that kind of cliche bums off seat sort of thing. But for me, Jota, he showed up a few times that he's great going forward, but also adapted coming back and doing a little bit of defensive work. He's not shy in that. So, yeah, out of the 3, Jota.
Fair play to you. I'm going to reciprocate with my own answer to that. I know that I'm kind of asking a question and giving my own answer back, but I'm going to say Abada. I have been a big fan of Abada during this whole podcast for the Jungle Gyms. I totally acknowledge what he's done for Celtic and totally acknowledge his age. He's very, very young. And at that point, you need to bear in mind that it's going to be hot and cold. You cannot expect a teenager from 19 years old transitioning over into his 20s to be completely hot.
Exactly.
If you expect that, then you're a fucking tube. But we've kind of watched Abada being hot, cold, and he's a wee guy. He's a wee guy. What is it, like 5'9", maybe 5'10"? He's a right winger, coming from Israel over to Scotland, and he's contributed a lot of goals, a lot of assists. But he went off the boil for a bit, and I was kind of concerned about his, regardless of his statistics, of his goals, of his assists. I was concerned about his involvement in the whole. To see how he would contribute and how he can make his mark for the Celtic team, and would he stake his own claim for the right wing position whenever Forrest came back in? But I'm so glad of what he's done tonight, because I want competition. I know that everybody knows what Forrest can bring, but Abada needs to show everybody what he can bring. And tonight he scored a goal, he made an assist, but I was really, really happy with what he did tonight. He showed the hunger from like the opening minute. I think for him, he kind of set the mark. He set the hunger from the opening minute for the Celtic game, and it kind of followed it up. He was always making angles. He made the passes. He was interlinking, and I want to see more of that. And I'm really, really happy with that and hope it continues because I don't want Abada to be put out to the sideline for like half a year. I want to see him competing continuously, and that's my own thoughts on it. That's my own
But
thoughts on it.
I completely agree with you, Gavin. I think it's something that we all as Celtic supporters need to be aware of, that these young players, Stephen Welsh, Abada, hopefully you see Mikey Johnson coming back into the fold. Hopefully we see Dembele coming back into the fold once he recovers from his injury. These are young guys who need to be coached and educated in football. And you've all heard me batter on about the need for better coaching and development of our players. This is where it kind of comes into, just purely on a football pitch sort of sense. Abada can't play every game for Celtic this season and be hot. He's going to blow hot and cold. And see, when he starts to blow cold, we need to remove him from the fold a little bit. Let Forrest come in. Let Forrest do what Forrest does best, which is superb at what he does. He's been a great assistant, a great asset to the club for the last 10 or so years. And I think Forrest deserves to always stay in this squad. But he deserves also to have support with another guy like Abada who can offer something different, but at the same time rotate in and out. I want to see Abada get 20, 30 games, and I want to see James Forrest get 20, 30 games. That'll see it the whole season.
Can I just say, McGinty, I think I was waffling for a second, and you came in and said, you came in and saved me, and that's why we're here, man. You came in and saved me, just like fucking Abada might be like kind of fucking like, not doing as much as what he kind of promised earlier on, and then you've got Forrest coming in, and you realise why you love Forrest. So thank you, McGinty. You've kind of like saved me. I was waffling, and you're here.
No, it's all good. I see Kenny's posted in as well. There's an agreement, I think, with the pair of us that
let's read it out. Let's read it out.
Instant success. Yeah, so Gav, the problem is a lot of supporters want instant success and don't have the patience to give players the time to mature. It's exactly true, Kenny. Exactly true. We need to be patient with some of these players, and we need to help them by having guys like Forrest to support, educate, bring on, and be there to rotate in and out, so it's not all on the one guy.
Right. So back to the game. Okay. Where did we leave it? We were 3-1 up. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-1 up. We're going into the second half here now.
Okay, so on the 70th minute, we take off fucking everybody up front. We take off Kyogo, we take off Jota, we take off Abada. We bring on Giamakis, we bring on Mickey J, and we bring on Jimmy Forrest. It's a big turnover. But at that point, we're 3-0 up. We're 3-1 up. We've got 20 minutes to go. And then later on, 78th minute, Beaton comes off for McCarthy. Here, by the way, I think we need to be honest about Beaton. Beaton comes off at 78th minute. I think Beaton did well. I think
he didn't do anything wrong.
It'd be remiss of us. Not just to say he did nothing wrong, but we needed the streetwise midfielder. And I think he did very, very well. At times he made very, very tactical challenges, professional fouls. I think we need to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I can give you that. I'm actually not a big detractor of Neil Beaton. I'm actually quite a fan of him. I think he's a tidy enough player. I think he's done well when he's come into the central midfield role to kind of help slow games down, especially in the last kind of 20 minutes or so when he was coming off the bench a few times. But he's now been given this kind of starting position because of basically how devoid of any depth in the midfield, quality in midfield at least anyway. That I'm actually quite happy with Neil Beaton. He's not the way forward. He's not the answer long term for Celtic. We need more depth, more quality there, which would actually push Neil Beaton out of the side. But he offers quite a lot for me, and he's always played as well as he can. Centre back is not his primary position, but he's always played as best as he can. He's made some glaring errors over the years. But again, he's always dusted himself down and got back into it. He's been there when we've needed him. And it's not always his fault that he's been consistently played in a shite position that he's not comfortable with. There's a lot of more questions that we can ask of Celtic to stop him having to be used as a centre-back. But no, I think Neil Beaton today played a solid game. It was very telling when McCarthy came on that we actually lost a bit of tempo in the midfield. We really kind of became a bit flat, I think. McCarthy, for me, just doesn't excite me. He doesn't offer much for the team. I'm waiting to see the McCarthy that we expected to see when he was coming through Hamilton and made his big move 10 years ago. I don't see that McCarthy at all. And I don't see how he's going to recapture that form in the next 3.5 years at Celtic.
Mate, McGinty, I know that you're being actually... I know that some people could accuse you of being cynical, but I can't disagree with you. How is McCarthy going to recapture the form that earned him the move to England? McGinty,
Lord knows he's
McGinty, I love you to bits, and sometimes I am happy to disagree with you, but on that point, I think you've spoken fucking gospel.
I'm actually not in a pure like major panic way, but I'm actually worried that Celtic will end up getting to January, and we know we need proper cover for Rogic, and we need another central kind of box-to-box midfielder. So there's every chance we go out in January and sign 2 midfielders. Suddenly McCarthy's 5th, 6th, 7th choice in the list. It's going to be hard for McCarthy to recapture the form that he used to have when he's likely not to get the game time that he wants at Celtic.
Right. Before we kind of move on and talk about like Turnbull and Rogic, let's just say later on in the game, we brought off Beaton, bring on McCarthy. About like 4 minutes ago, like 86th minute, there was a culling effort. I don't know how it happened. I think it was like a mistake from Celtic, but a culling effort from the Ferencvaros striker from outside the box. It was a beautiful effort. It curled by Joe Hart and nestled in the left-hand corner, and that made it 3-2. And at that point, we're like about 4 minutes to go. And we're like, at that point, we're like, fuck, we're 3-2 up. Are we gonna win, or are we gonna try and kind of let's see it out? What we're gonna do? It was we never really expected that. At that point, we're like 3-1 up, and we're thinking, fucking hell, this is going to be great. But it turned the tide. It kind of like turned the tides. And we're thinking we're going to have to be defensive at this point. So we've got on James McCarthy, and we're thinking maybe, yeah, fucking hell, he's gonna like kind of shore things up, and eventually we actually do okay. We actually see the result out later on, like the 90th minute. Stephen Welsh comes off, and then Liam Scales comes on. But it was maybe a wee bit kind of too close too soon. I'm loving the fact that we won 3-2, and I'm loving the fact that I actually predicted it. But it was a wee bit too close to comfort. Again, so over the whole, we're away in Europe. You can't take anything for granted in Europe, but we won 3-2. Over the whole, are you happy with our performance? Are you happy with how the players who we had at our disposal actually conducted themselves? Or are you getting any regrets? Anybody who let themselves down? What do you think overall? I know that's a kind of a wide-ranging question, but
overall, did anybody let us down? No. Overall, I'm happy to get 3 goals and bring back 3 points away from home. We've got now the 6 points off Ferencvaros that I wanted us to get. We're on track maybe to get the 9 points if we can get 3 off Real Betis. On the whole for tonight, I'm happy. I'm excited. It was disappointing to concede that second goal in the last 5 minutes. And normally it goes into squeaky bum time at that point. You see Celtic panicking and holding on, and the first gut instinct is, oh, fuck. We've conceded one. It's only one goal in it. There's 5 minutes. They're going to throw everything at it, and Celtic are going to fucking panic. You can see 3-3 coming quite quickly. But see, within about 30 seconds of that goal being scored, you kind of settle down and actually, no, defensively, we're not actually all that bad. We're nowhere near as bad as we were at the start of the season. You've got faith in Carter Vickers. You've got faith in Joe Hart controlling that back lane. Scales had came on. Scales touched the ball a few times and he got in about it. He muscled a couple of players off the ball and he kind of showed things up a little bit. Giamakis, I'm not a massive fan of him. He's not doing enough for me, but I'll give him credit where it's due. He twice done quite good to hold the ball up. He got the foul on the right side, just at the halfway line, slowed the game down. And then just in the last dying seconds, he had the ball on the left side of the midfield. For me, he should have released the ball to Mikey Johnson and pushed for the goal, pushed for the fourth, and pushed for an attack. But I can see a lot of people would credit him. He slowed the game down again. He turned his defender around and he just really slowed the pace down. I think he got another foul out of it as well. So we did what Celtic don't usually do too well, and that was see the game out, slow the game down, and kind of enjoy possession and control it a little bit. It wasn't as squeaky as I'm used to it being.
Squeaky is really not my style, but I believe that we did have Joseph Agnew. So Joseph Agnew has Celtic. Celtic just wasted time instead of going for fourth. So we're 3-1 up. Should we have went for the fourth, or should we have kind of solidified? Are we capable of solidifying, or should we always go for the fourth?
I think we should have been going for the fourth, definitely. With the substitutions to change all three up front, we kind of lost that pace and that kind of aggression going forward. The guys needed a bit more time to obviously get into the game. A topic that we can talk about in the weekly is substitutions and how much time they need. However, we weren't going to chase it for fourth. We were 3-1 up at the time. We go 3-2. And no, we did right. People can argue that you should have went for the fourth, but then you leave yourself open. I think we did the right thing. We saw the game as well as we should have. I think it's a great 3 points. It's a great away victory, and we shouldn't be negative on that side tonight. We did good.
And let's kind of go over the stats. Okay, so for possession-wise, we all fucking love that shit. We all live for the possession. We all live for it. Okay, so possession-wise, we get actually 44 for the Hungarian mob and 56 for Glasgow. Shots-wise, okay, we've got 15 for Ferencvaros and 12 for Celtic. Shots on target, 4 for Ferencvaros, 5 for Celtic. And corners, we've got 2 for the Hungarian mob and 6 for Celtic. McGinty, I want to kind of talk to you about that one. And by the way, Fibbles, 17 for the Hungarian mob. It's not really a surprise because they kind of seemed like a rather aggressive team. And 11 Fibbles for Celtic. But McGinty, corners wise, okay, we've got 6 for us and 2 for them. We were shite at set pieces last season. How can we capitalise about set pieces under Ange Postecoglou? Defending and attacking. Do you think that's one of his kind of KPIs, key performance indicators? Do you think that that's one of his priorities?
Possibly. I will say one thing about that compared to last season. We don't seem as vulnerable defended set pieces as we were last season. We did seem a bit shaky at the start of the season, but I think we, along with the backline generally, and what I was just saying about seeing it the last 5 minutes of the game tonight, I think we're slowly but surely finding faith and confidence in this team being able to defend a little bit better. It was an unfortunate first goal that we conceded. It was a brilliant strike for their second, a little bit standoffish. We could have done a bit better, but overall, we weren't making like really bad sloppy mistakes. We weren't gifting opportunities. We were just not tighter, you know. But as far as set pieces are concerned, they're not as big a concern as they used to be for me. So I'm kind of happy to see a little bits of small progressions as we go.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, let's kind of round up the end of the night before we kind of finish off our tonight. I know that we're all getting tired. Bayer Leverkusen beat fucking Real Betis 4-0 in Germany. That's a very, very, very conclusive result. So Bayer Leverkusen are top in the group on 10 points after 4 games. They've played 4, they've won 3, they've drawn 1. I think the only game that they drew was away to Real Betis.
Real Betis, aye.
Indeed, indeed. So Real Betis, they've won 2, they've drawn 1, they've lost 1, and they're on 7 points. And we are here lagging. We're lagging at 6 points. We've only taken the 2 wins against Real. We're taking the 2 scalps against Ferencvaros. So if we really, really want to get through in the Europa League, we need to take a scalp of Real Betis at home at Parkhead. And we're going to find out if we can do that. The future will tell. But apart from that, it looks like if we cannot get a scalp off Real Betis, then we're going to go into the Europa Sexy, the Europa Conference League. McGinty, will you be excited about getting the European football after Christmas if we go into European Sexy?
AKA the conference. I think that's it confirmed tonight, actually, that we will get the European football after Christmas. Even if we lose the next 2 games and Ferencvaros somehow managed to pull it out of the bag and beat Betis and Leverkusen, we still beat Ferencvaros over the head-to-head. So we've got that in the bag, which is great to see. Being on 6 points and 1 point behind Betis, for me, this is kind of where you want to be. Ideally, we shouldn't have lost all 3 points against Betis in the opening game. That's a talking point that we've already covered. But we're in a position where we're fighting for second place with Betis, and that's what we want to see. For me, we want Ferencvaros hopefully to take points off Betis, get a result of some kind. A wee draw would be nice, and us to beat Betis on the final game of the season. Final game of the group would see us go second, and I think that's very possible. It's something that we need a little favour for, but it's still possible. It's still a good place to be in this league at this point.
It's healthy. It's very, very healthy, and it's it keeps us going. You know, we're excited to see exactly what happens. And like first time we've won away in Europa League since a fucking Lazio 2019. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely. It's another win away from home. It's not often we get to see that. I think that's maybe the 4th one in God knows how many years. So it's good to get it, and it's something again to build on. Another positive to take.
Exactly. Right. Okay, we're going to finish up tonight. So the next podcast that we're going to do is Celtic away to who the fuck are we playing? The next game that will be Dundee.
I've seen it.
Dundee.
I
Dundee
believe
this
so.
weekend.
I'm seeing if you can remember.
Dundee this weekend. I'm sure it's Dundee this weekend. I think we're away from home as well. But another thing,
we've got Dundee away from home on Sunday at 12 o'clock.
Another thing that I want to point out was that Paddy predicted that we would win 3-1 tonight, and he's fucking wrong. And that, for me, that kind of it highlights the fact that he doesn't really know much about football.
I believe he might just have to come back on a podcast and prove us wrong.
He's a charming cunt. He's a charming cunt, but he's got no content. He's got no content.
No, we love everybody on the podcast. We love everybody.
Anyway, for the viewers though, for watching at home, we've actually won away from home in Europe. It does not happen very often. That's where we're kind of giddy. Me and McGinty are happy as fuck. But anyway, please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Please share the content with other people. And if you're watching on
Facebook, join the Facebook group for Jungle Gyms Podcast, and also on Twitter at Jungle Gyms Pod. Give us a follow, give us a share. Enjoy the content. We're here to entertain.
Fucking yeah. Fucking yeah. Yippee-yi-yay, motherfucker. Right, before we head up tonight, McGinty, any final thoughts before we finish off tonight?
Just want to say, happy with their away result, happy with the performance. Long may it continue.
Man of the match, man of the match.
Oh, man of the match. Oh, yes. Jota.
I'm going to say Abada, considering his age, a goal and an assist. Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Not a bad way. All the best, guys. Hail, hail.